Welcome everybody, live
Yeah.
Under the Mat Radio. This is your host Tech with co-host.
And I see Game Boy, what it is, what it do.
Welcome everybody to today's episode of Under the Mat Radio. This is titled Some Like It Long, Some Like It Big, because we have coming up very soon. First, our great guest will be from 105.7 The Fan here in Baltimore, Maryland, national radio and TV host, great guy Rob Long will be joining us momentarily. And then coming up at the top of the hour at 8 p.m., we will have legendary wrestler and author and journeyman Big Bill Anderson will be joining us at the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Just to let you know real quick, fans, you can follow us on Facebook under the Mats Radio on Facebook. Just type it into the search. You can follow the show on Twitter at Tech_UTMR. You can follow NSC Game Boy on Twitter at
NSC Game Boy spelled correctly. So,
yes, please spell it correctly. Yes, you can follow us on YouTube. Go on YouTube, type in Pro Wrestling Powerhouse. Specific YouTube page is coming up very soon. Email us at underthematsradio@gmail.com. And, of course, we have an Instagram page. Just type in Under the Mats Radio, all one word. Of course, we have some big news and some breaking news for you coming up. We will reveal to you later on to the show. But with that being said, I believe we have a caller who is live. Not sure if this is Rob Long, but is it? Welcome to Under the Mat Radio.
Hi, Bob Johnson, Heartbeat Radio. Evan,
sorry,
is that you?
Yes, it is. Bob Johnson, how you doing, sir?
Hey.
Yeah, not too bad. Listen, I'm just, if you see my name on the board, I'm just calling in because I want to listen to Bill Anderson. He's one of the very good friends of mine, and I've been looking forward to hearing his story on your show. And he's got a couple, about 3 excellent books out there on wrestling, and so I'm just going to sit back and listen to your show. And Bill Anderson should be a really good guest to have on there tonight. So that's just me. If you want to know where my area code was, you guys have a wonderful show, and we'll see you on Heartbeat Radio next time. Okay?
Yes, we will.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Matt. Thank you.
Enjoy the show.
Everybody, that was Bob Johnson. We might as well break the news right now while we wait for Rob Long to call. Is that Tech from Under the Mat Radio, of course, me, will be hosting at times. I do help out Bruce Hart, who is brother and a part of the legendary Hart family. Bruce Hart has a great show on here on Pro Wrestling Powerhouse called Hard to Beat Radio. Just a few weeks ago, they had the legendary great Terry Funk on, and callers such as the great J.J. Dillon, Ric Flair, and others called in to wish him a happy birthday. Well, I will be helping with Bruce Hart this Sunday do a post-Hell in a Cell recap here live on Pro Wrestling Powerhouse Heartbeats Radio at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So, fans, if you want to hear Bruce Hart, you want to hear me go over Hell in a Cell, of course, just check it out, 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
And he's putting that on the Twitter page and stuff too, right?
Oh, yeah. Everything will be up on Twitter. Of course, the link will be up on the Under the Mat page. Just as usual, like you follow Under the Mat Radio, Bruce Hart, Heartbeat Radio is a family of ours in the wrestling community and in the business. But NSC Game Boy, while we have some time, go over the great events from this past weekend.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was Rage Pro Wrestling at Hanover, Pennsylvania, and it was an exciting show. Real quick, just to fill y'all in, if you missed it, please go to Under the Mat Radio on our Facebook page and check out some of the videos, the interviews, some of the highs and the lows. A great program, man. Those guys from Rage, shout out to B.J. Walker, to Riot City, to the Brutes. Shout out to G Postal and countless others, Mountain King. The list go on and on. What a very exciting show. Me and Tech were there, and they blew the house down, man. It was great wrestling, great performances, very professional, and fun for the whole family.
Yes, it was. Definitely was. Shout out to Robbie E., current TNA star and Amazing Race star too. Very good dude, definitely. Good guy. Had a very great match with Robbie Illuminati, current Rage heavyweight champion. NSC Game Boy, give your thoughts on the overall event that was Rage Fight Night on this past weekend.
Just to give you, like I said, a quick overall, it was very exciting for the simple fact that we didn't think that it was going to be that good of a show. You know, the first one is always good because it's something new. By the time you get to the second show, sometimes, you know, you're a little skeptic. And these guys, they came and delivered. It was a lot of great matches. Robbie E. and Robin Illuminati definitely brought it in. Like I said, we had some great interviews and stuff with some of the guys from in the back to let you know some of the post interviews, and it was just really a great show. The next show is going to be in November. It's going to be in Pittsburgh, though, folks. It's going to be in Pittsburgh, but it's a much bigger show. We'll let you know more details as the weeks come on. Check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We'll let you know what's going on, but it's definitely some hot wrestling. And shout out to the Blue Meanie and Rob E. and those guys for coming down and really just giving us a great show.
Yeah, and like NSC Game Boy said, fans, that we will be in Pittsburgh, November 15th. Yes, the Steel City. Yes, we are Ravens fans, but it's for a good cause. We will be in the Steel City for Rage Pro Wrestling next big event. This will be a national TV taping, definitely. So, just to let everybody know. So, also, too, we do want to announce that live, November 1st in New York City, Queens, New York, we are proud to announce that Under the Mat Radio, me, Tech, NSC Game Boy, Shinblade, will be live on Legends TV, starring the great associate producer of the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke and host of Legends Radio, Evan Ginsberg. So, yes, Under the Mat Radio, Tech on NSC Game Boy, Shinblade, a great videographer and correspondent, will be on TV in New York. Once the show is finished up, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube, and we definitely will be posting it on the website. I'm sorry, on the webpage. NSC Game Boy, your thoughts about
that? And you gotta add on to that, bro. You gotta tell them the rest.
We ain't gonna let you do that, brother.
No, you gonna let me do? Bless y'all. You're so thoughtful. And to add on to that, folks, you'll see yours truly, NSC Game Boy, actually performing some of his songs. You know, since Under the Mat started, you've already heard some of my freestyles and stuff, my battles. Of course, my battle with Oscar from Men on a Mission, former WWE star. But you'll actually get a chance to see me, NSC Game Boy, perform live on this show. So, shout out to Evan Ginsberg for the opportunity. Shout out to our correspondent, Shinblade, and from Tech to me, NSC Game Boy, I hope you all tune in and check out. It's going to be magic.
Yes, it will. It will be magic. NSC Game Boy, aren't you excited about performing to the masses, to New York City?
I'm just excited to perform. I have a different type of sound. It's been very marketable. I've been on satellite radio. I've been featured on other radio stations. Currently beginning work on my project of a greatest hits album that's going to be dropping early next year, and music videos to that album. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be talking about on the show down the road. Hopefully, you can check that out. And real quick, if you got your Android phone or iPhone, go to your App Store or your iPhone, your Apple App Store, whichever you choose. Type in NSC Game Boy. Download my app. Check out the songs and everything from my artists, from me. Good, clean hip hop. If you're not into that, just check it out anyway. Give me your opinions. I take all types of form of criticism. I love to hear from you.
Yes, and then, too, we want to give a big out to he's us in there, the sensational one, Shinblade, for doing the great work with the camera, videographer. Thank you much, buddy, for listening, for the help, the very great job he did with our interviews. If you want to check out our interviews from Rage Pro Wrestling on this past weekend, just go on the Under the Mat radio page and check them out. Very funny, very interesting, and, of course, we got insulted at times, but it's all fine. We know it's all in love. big ups to WrestleZone.com and all the other wrestling websites who end up covering us under the Mats Radio for plugging and promoting the interview we just had last week with the great Kenny Omega. NXT Game Boy, what was your thoughts on last week's episode?
Last week, we interviewed international star Kenny Omega. He just signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling. A great interview. If you have the chance to go back and listen to it, we talked about everything from his time working with WWE Developmental for working with, with TNA and how he pretty much got in the business and his infamous match with a 9-year-old girl all across seas, which is very, very professional, very, very funny, and very, very good and entertaining. So check that out on YouTube. Kenny Omega wrestles a 9-year-old girl, and yes, it will shock you. Just great interview altogether. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to have him back on. We talked about video games. We talked about comic books. We talked about whatever he wanted to talk about and what y'all wanted to hear. So,
yeah, and Kenny Omega said himself he loved being on the show. He loves Pro Wrestling Powerhouse, the network. He loves Under the Mat Radio. I had the pleasure to talk to him earlier today, and it's a Game Boy shared some words Shinblade has, and he said how much fun he's had to be on our show. He's looking forward to coming back for part 2. I think Kenny Omega, his career is very illustrious. He's done so much in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor, DDT, now New Japan, even wrestling here in the States. So still much to cover, not only in his wrestling background, but of course video games, comic books, and movies and whatnot. So Kenny Omega definitely had a great time being here too. So big ups to you. Want to give big ups to, of course, our buddy Antonio. We call him a big old SS for helping us out too. Big ups to Jason Ross and all of our friends and family who definitely supports the show. We have a lot of big things that are coming up for Under the Mats Radio. Real quick, we normally don't talk about Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. That's what we don't talk. Really don't do a review. But we will say this. Last night, for I believe the second time in about a few weeks, WWE ended up having some DLC content, some surprise appearance. First it was The Rock, and last night it was ended up being Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mick Foley, ended up being on the show, making an appearance. I want to get your thoughts, NXT Game Boy, on the appearance, the surprise of Mick Foley showing up. And did you agree with it? Did you like it?
It was a cool segment with him, Seth, and Dean. He kind of hinted it a little bit on his Facebook. I'm friends with him on his Facebook. He kind of made it like a little hint that he was going to be arriving soon. He didn't say last night, but he did say soon. So it wasn't too much of a surprise. But, it's always good. I'm a big fan. I own 2 of his books, actually. I'm a big fan of Mick Foley. And it was cool to see him, doing his usual punches and stuff as usual, in Kansas City, which most Baltimoreans is a little upset with Kansas City due to the fact that they're not going to the World Series.
Right.
Try again next year, guys. But it was cool. It was cool. Seeing them. So, how about you, Zach?
Cool.
What did you think?
It was it was good to see Foley. I just like seeing surprises nowadays with the internet and all these websites and dirt sheets, and it's hard to really surprise the fans now because, everything you read, WWE's going to do this next week, TNA's going to do this next week, Ring of Honor, they're going to bring in this guy and that guy. So it's pretty hard to surprise the fans nowadays, but it still felt good to be surprised. They have that shock, like, what? Foley's coming out or The Rock's coming out, and it was good to see Foley. Had no idea that his teeth was green. The one that they got knocked out, I believe, or one of his teeth was green. But I thought it was cool, and I hope WWE keeps this up. We're bringing in, as we call it, DLC, random, shocking appearances by WWE legends of WWE stars from the past. So, but what's next? Who could WWE bring in next? You got The Rock, Foley, Triple H is already there. Jericho's still with him. Who could he bring back? won't be Taker.
I'm pretty sure Stone Cold is the next in the pipeline.
Stone Cold, New
on,
Age
on
Outlaw.
another note, I do want to say this. I read earlier that today WWE changed their awareness policy on domestic violence, and I know they have now put out an actual statement to as what would happen if a wrestler or performer or diva violates, this act as far as like domestic violence, child abuse, or any form of like that. And the first one will be a suspension, and the second one will be termination. The reason why I'm bringing this to light is because the WWE never really had a policy about this. As we know, when you talk to about the Chris Benoit situation, we know Chris Benoit, his situation. I don't judge, but what happened was a tragedy, and that's as far as it go. But the WWE actually today released a policy now that happens with wrestlers when they perform acts of domestic violence. If a wrestler hits his wife, if a diva hits her child or her husband or whatever, there are some severe punishments, fines, and they can lose their job. It's almost as strict in the NFL, actually. And I just want to commend the WWE on that. I lost my god sister many, many years ago to domestic violence. It is something not to play with. And any woman, female of our fan of our show, if you're out there, if you're listening, if you're in any type of pain or any type of hurt, and you're listening to our show, feel free to contact myself or contact Tech. We will take you and try to get you the help that you need, because it's a very serious issue. Even though I'm still a fan of Ray Rice's performance, I don't condone the fact that domestic violence is very serious. Child abuse is very serious. I have both. I have a girlfriend and I have children. And I just want to commend the WWE for stepping up and showing us the light and letting these performers and entertainers and these guys know, hey, be careful out there. So I just want to add on to that real quick while we had a moment.
And just to let people know and remind people that, yes, domestic violence happens. Not only, mainly, it's common sociologically to think domestic violence is mainly men hitting on women or what have you. That's true. But don't forget that there are women, too, out there that do hit on men. It's not as common, but it still happens. So either way is wrong. It shouldn't happen. I commend the WWE for coming up with a policy, and I believe WWE did this because of the whole Ray Rice situation with the NFL. So thank you, WWE, for doing a policy for this, so it can set some protocol for people doing this. And hopefully in the next month or so, we won't have to be talking about the first WWE wrestler, superstar, air quote, WWE superstar, that will be a victim of this policy.
Yeah, and one more thing. I just got a hit from our correspondent, Shin Blade, who just told me this is only for people who have been convicted now. You have to be convicted of the crime. So this is not speculation. This is not public opinion. You have to be convicted. So in the court of law, if you are convicted, or you found guilty on that, then that's when it will be used against you at the time. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of guys out there. It's not a big group, but it's a small group of guys who also are forming domestic violence. They don't actually have to mean your fist. You throw an object at them, or you hit them with a car or something. That's a form of domestic violence, believe it or not. So there's some other charges too, but it's a form of domestic violence. And
while we do wait, just to let everybody know, please bear that our first guy still is trying to call in. Right now here in Baltimore, where we're at, there's a severe thunderstorm, a lot of thunder and lightning, so please bear with us. Our guest is trying to get free to give us a call. I know with the rain and the storm and very heavy, at least where I'm at, it does affect cell phone signals and the network. So with that being said, we're going to keep talking about wrestling. If you want to call in and talk to us, give us your thoughts on Raw, give us your thoughts on the state of TNA, or anything wrestling related, do you give us a call at 760-888-5749. Say it again, 760-888-5749. So while we're sitting here, between now and 8 o'clock, it's free open time until I guess they're calling in. If you want to give a call, talk about wrestling, you want to talk about Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, or anything, we'll leave it open for you to call. I believe we have a caller about to come up in a second. And of course, NFC Game Boy, speaking of games, WWE 2K15 is on the horizon to be coming out.
I actually pre-ordered mine.
You did? Okay.
So I actually pre-ordered.
Is it too late to pre-order?
It wasn't too late for me. I pre-ordered mine like 2-3 days ago. Actually, this will be the first wrestling game I've bought since Nintendo 64 No Mercy. I have not bought a wrestling game since No Mercy.
And what year?
That shows you.
And what year was that NFC Game Boy?
Yeah, that's the last time I actually paid out my pocket. And I played the games over people's houses, especially yours, because you have every wrestling game known to man.
Yeah.
You know, I give you that. But, ladies and gentlemen, I have never bought a wrestling game besides, like, No Mercy. I bought No Mercy and, like the WCW versus the World Revenge, those games back in,
Remember the music? Something like that, was that?
Yeah. So I actually pre-ordered WWE 2K15. I'm actually going to play it. And from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, it's sounds like it's going to be a really, really great game. So I can't wait.
And I believe we have Shim, the sensation with Shim Blade now live here on Under the Mat Radio. We're now talking about now No Mercy Day year 2000. Your memories of No Mercy, Shin, the Nintendo 64 at that time in wrestling?
Actually, I remember that buying it from Military Circle Mall in Norfolk, Virginia at a place called GameStop or Babbage's.
Wait. What was the name of that mall?
Military Circle Mall, Norfolk, Virginia.
Military Circle Mall.
Yeah, that's by the base.
By the base.
No. That's it's a different mall, but it's like in it's off of 264 in Norfolk, Virginia, and anybody in Norfolk who's listening knows what I'm talking about. Now it's a ghetto mall though. Every time I go back to Virginia. But that being said, I remember No Mercy, and I remember I used to play that till 3 o'clock, and then had to go to school at 7 o'clock. People still play it now. We got independent wrestlers who play it. Most notably AJ Styles, who still plays it. It was just a great engine. Now they make the SmackDown series and they look good, but they just don't have that feel like the old games like that.
I agree.
Yeah, big up to that mall. I'm sorry, it's now ghetto.
It's not as bad as Security Square Mall though.
Well, it's a Security Square Mall. As you say, Ratchet. The Ratchet malls now, and there's our Security Square Mall, Westview, the mall that was great, but now this pretty much sucks. But moving on from that.
Now I do have something about Raw last night though. Coming to Hell in a Cell, and I gotta say that this episode, and I watched it at work, it was putting me to sleep. It was just the same thing.
Put you to sleep?
Well, many of the recent SmackDowns and Raws just been like kind of blah. Like nothing really exciting that comes up. You have The Rock that came back for Rusev, and it was like The Rock come back and he beat up Rusev, and then next week Rusev is going against Big Show, and Big Show and Mark Henry is having a bro fight moment, talking about I'm gonna do it alone, which we all know where that's going next Sunday. And my prediction is this: I think Mark Henry, and it's gonna be funny when I say this, I think Mark Henry is gonna have old Hacksaw Jim Duggan's Canada gimmick from WCW.
Oh gosh.
Which was god awful.
Mark Henry, as they say.
Yeah, Mr. Rick Ross's older brother.
Well,
But actually, but the thing is that can I put down the line of the card for Hell in a Cell?
yeah. Oh, and yeah, I
But
mean,
real
Hell in
quick,
a Cell is yeah. Go ahead, NC Game Boy.
real quick, before you say it, I have to agree that the level of the Monday Night Raws and the SmackDowns have been really, really drowsy. It almost kind of like Town on PM to me, because it really has been putting me to sleep. It's just like it's been like really lackluster, and
Tylenol PM.
it's almost like really the same thing, Dan and verbatim. Like like wow, Dean Ambrose is being pushed, but Jesus Christ, like wow, it's just. But go ahead, Shin. I know you said you.
Okay, now
Bro,
I'm gonna start
bro,
start from the bottom of it. Yes.
what is that? Raw now is brought to you by Tylenol PM. Special shout out to Tylenol PM, NyQuil, or any other medicine that makes you drowsy.
Temesculin in
'Cause-
Turkey.
Yeah, that too. Because pretty much Raw, not this that last episode, the past few weeks, found myself dozing while watching Raw or watching Monday Night Football or Restaurant Impossible with my girlfriend or something else instead of Monday Night Raw and I'm just flipping the channels.
You took a shot at his girl.
No, it was
Shout out to Melody.
no.
How you doing, Melody?
Wait a minute. That was not a shot. I know why we watch the show on a regular basis, but the
can't
fact
take
that
back the bullet.
my attention, instead of it being more so on Raw, diverted to Restaurant Impossible. Normally we would flip the channels, but I found myself watching more of it than watching Raw. That shows the product that Raw has as of right now.
He trying to curve the bullet.
There's something that up.
He trying to curve.
Hey, look, man.
Y'all know.
I need a big at it.
Thank you,
Okay,
babe. I'm sure you listening. Back to Hell in the Cell.
All right. The first match, I'm gonna start from the bottom. Not to quote Drake, but the match is Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella, with the loser having to be the assistant for 30 days. Okay. Moving on.
Wait. Repeat that stipulation again.
Okay, Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella, with the stipulation that the loser will have to be the assistant's bitch for 30 days.
Oh gosh, they're sisters.
The old slave gimmick.
It doesn't matter. And it's a Game Boy. Your thoughts on this match that is irrelevant?
Moving on.
Moving on. Tylenol PM.
All right. Pre-show match, it should be. The next match is AJ Lee versus Paige for the Divas Championship.
Wait, 2 Divas matches on this card?
Yes, it is. It's a shocker.
Wow. Well, what is this, 1998?
Which one you want to take a bathroom break on?
Well, you say the AJ Lee.
Probably the Bells.
The Bellas, yeah, the Bellas is Tylenol PM, and it's a Game Boy, and I'm sure that's the word for the day. Tylenol PM.
All right. The next match, what we have, let's see, another match that we have is Sheamus versus The Miz with Damien Mizdow for the United States Heavyweight Championship.
I think that's
well.
Really good.
I will say this. Kudos, as my old professor, not old principal, used to say. Kudos to Damien Mizdow. I think, in my opinion, that is hilarious, and I think it's funny the fact that just let's not forget, fans, that just a year or so ago, Damien Sandow was the Money in the Bank, and they were pushing him to be the next champion. And of course, we know he lost to Captain 4K on Raw, cash it in. But now Damien Mizdow, to me, being a stunt double, the Hollywood take, I think that is hilarious to me. Him dressing up as Sheamus on SmackDown, all the things that he's doing, I think that's pretty
Main
funny.
event.
So,
Main event.
I'm sorry, it's on Main Event. Same show almost. But
yeah.
I think that's funny. Game Boy, your thoughts on this match, Mizdow?
It's just to show you how irrelevant Miz is truly are when the guy who is portraying you as a joke is more popular than you, and you're actually the person he's portraying. So that's also like somebody's portraying you or myself, and they're more famous being me than actual me. So it just shows you just how bad Miz really is. Like, he's not even that good at being himself. Like, somebody else is impersonating him, and he's better at it than the actual guy he's impersonating.
Well, I have to say that really, if anybody has taken notice in the Miz's matches when Mizdow is ringside, and notice one of the things that popped big for me when it came to Mizdow was when Miz applied the figure four leg lock to either Dolph Ziggler or Sheamus, and Mizdow did it on the outside as well. He did the whole formation and everything, and that was something small to pick up.
We actually do like that. Real quick, before we go into the other matches, NXT Game Boy, if you had a stunt double, what would he wear, and how would he act?
Actually, I had a few stunt doubles. One of them used to be named Rayvon.
Shout out to Rayvon.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke.
Shout out to Rayvon.
But,
fans, please don't Google Rayvon because you will not get any results.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually had a stunt double. I think a stunt double for me would probably wouldn't work, only because I have a sporadic personality. Some things I do, some people may question, and some things I do, the other half will probably be, just shaking their head because they don't know why I'm doing it or going that way. So it'll be hard for my stunt double to keep up with me because, I don't
Wait,
think
real quick, we had breaking news in this Game Boy. Then there's results on Google for Rayvon. He is Bruce Alexander Michael Brewster. The hell. He is better known stage name Rayvon. He's from Barbados. He's a reggae singer known for his work for Shaggy. And just for that, he's irrelevant. Moving back on. Anything, Game Boy, you can finish.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, like I was saying, somebody try to walk in my shoes, they gonna fall backwards, and I think that's the goal for anybody, even as in the character, But for Miz, he's so irrelevant and so shallow. It's so easy to follow him because he's not really, he's not really impactful himself. He's a guy that he can wrestle a little bit. I give him that, but he's made famous thanks to the real world. He didn't make famous in the indies or in the coming up in the ranks. He was already kind of just used his clout to get there, and then they finally just let him in. Like you think about guys like like that kind of.
Well, to tell you the truth, with the Miz, here's the whole thing about managers. Managers are not supposed to, or ballets, they're not supposed to be over than the wrestlers, and this is the part where it's failing, like we all said. And it's just like, reminds me of Ricardo Rodriguez and Alberto Del Rio, where everybody liked Rodriguez even more, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah,
now, also, breaking news for some who didn't watch Raw is that not only that the Miz will have a match, but also it will be Mizdow TV on the pre-show with special guest The Miz.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they did say that.
That actually, I'm looking forward to that. It actually will be entertaining. And like NXT Game Boy said, the fact that your stunt double or manager, like you said, Shin, is more over than you. I mean, really, who cares about the Miz? Anybody listening, if you care about the Miz, please call in 760-888-5749. If you listen to this as an archived version, hit us up on Facebook. Let us know you care about the Miz, because I don't know anyone who does. For the first time in history, period, in the past 30 WrestleManias, look at this. Past 30 WrestleManias, how many champions had they? WrestleMania 1, Hogan. 2, Hogan. 3, WrestleMania 3 was Hogan. Really Hogan. 4, Hogan won the title from Savage. 5, Hogan again.
Wow. We're really doing this.
6, Hogan again. He lost to his
Warrior.
7,
Okay.
Hogan again. Winner from Slaughter. 8, we really don't count that, but it was really Savage and Flair. But Hogan, the point I'm making, since WrestleMania started, everybody that's been a champion into WrestleMania has been memorable. You saw, yeah, Hogan was champ, Flair was champ, Brock was champ, Yoko was champ, Triple H was champ,
Diesel.
Captain 4Ks was champ, Orton was champ, Triple H was champ, Taker, even Sid was champ.
Diesel.
Miz. Yeah, Diesel. Oh, yeah, Miz. He main evented WrestleMania 27, which big ups to NXT Game Boy. You know, because of him, we was able to go to WrestleMania, and yet people forget.
Because it was The Rock. It was The Rock and John Cena, because everybody cared about the rivalry that they were building. So coming into the match, The Miz was like, I'm going to make it better, but it made it he couldn't because it was The Rock.
You would have thought Miz had a title. People remember Bob Backlund's title run, the real short one, when Diesel beat him in Madison Square Garden in about 6 or 7 seconds. They remember that a lot more than Miz having the WWE title for a good few months, leading into WrestleMania, and still had the title after WrestleMania. How many people defeated Captain 4K John Cena at Mania? Not many. Triple H didn't do it. Neither did HBK.
Orton did.
And yet we don't care. Orton did.
That was a 3.
Orton beat him like 780 times, and John Cena beat him like 1,000 and 300 times. So they kind of cancel each other out.
All right, we're jumping ahead a little bit on mentioning Orton and Cena.
It's all good. It's all good.
Don't worry, we got plenty of words for them too.
Yeah, we got plenty.
Okay.
But the fact is that The Miz is not relevant. I mean, big ups to The Miz. The Miz, we thank you for your endeavors. We give you up. WWE cared so much about you that they turned you heel. And WWE, the company you worked for, forgot that you had a movie that came out on NBC Kids or whatever the hell the network was called
ABC Network.
ABC Network, Christmas Bounty, what the hell it was called, and your own company that you worked for forgot you had a movie coming out. They said, we forgot the Miz had a movie come out. We can't have him, bad guy. We're going to switch you to a face the next week.
I actually saw that movie.
If your own company forgets about your work, that they signed you up to do and gave you permission, that lets you know how relevant you are on the company.
Let me tell you something. I know you're heated about this Miz rant, and I should put this on YouTube for that. But people remember the Marine 2 with Ted DiBiase Jr. more than the Christmas Bounty. That's how bad that movie was.
We could do a whole show on things in wrestling that we remember besides the Miz. And granted, anybody.
The Chaperone was better.
I think what's that new Leprechaun movie with the Billy? What's his name? Hornswoggle.
Shouts out to Jason Hevel for watching that.
Yeah, big ups to JH Indie Wrestling Q&A. Our buddy, he watched it and said it was gutter trash. It was terrible.
So was the John Morrison Hercules movie.
Hey, big ups to that. Anything with John Morrison is a lot better than The Miz. But they were a great tag team, and we'll give them that.
All right.
But moving on, off of The Miz, we spent too much time on The Miz.
All right. Okay, next up, the match that was determined. And before I get into this, note that there were a lot of matches made on Raw last night via WWE app. So anybody didn't have it, like myself.
They're still alive? They're still around?
I guess so. It's with the network.
Who still has
it? Isn't it with the network?
All you hear is WWE Network. You really don't hear.
Okay. Now the app, they're making all the matches, so whoever doesn't have the app, like myself, it's just on the fly where it's like, where's the build? We're just slapping matches together. So, given this match is one of them, was the WWE Tag Team Championship, which is Gold and Stardust, which I love Stardust, against the Usos.
Again,
another match.
For the first time. How many times have we seen this match on Raw or SmackDown?
Every week.
And yet, they're having a match in it.
either a singles match or a handicap match or 6-man match. We've seen this match before, and we go to the next one. I didn't think this was going to be I thought it was going to be a match, but maybe not, though. Maybe Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler, but it's not up here.
Well, first we got to talk about the tag match. Is granted, this is a match we've seen time and time again. But I will say this is a match I'm looking forward to see because they have a good chemistry. They work pretty well. I'm a fan of Golden Stardust. Kishi's kids, the Usos, big fan favorites, and I'm really glad for them. So even though, if they don't have Goldust and Stardust against Kishi's kids, what other tag teams out there?
Oh, wow.
Flay Gator.
That's a good one.
You got Flay
no.
Gator.
No.
But after that, wait a minute, Los Matadors. Yeah. After that, Ryback is hurt, so you can't. Where is Curtis Axel? Was he asleep? Was he? I mean,
he's
Ryback
at home.
is hurt. Yeah, Ryback
he's at home.
Right, Curtis Axel was at home waiting for Ryback to come back.
He's practicing his posing. You know, he like to pose a lot. Show that, you know.
You know what? You know what? How far has Curtis Axel has fallen? He was introduced the day after WrestleMania 29 as the next greatest thing from Paul Heyman. At that time, he can work. He was the sparring partner of The Rock before the matches with Cena. So he got the rub and he got the build, and now he is nowhere. Just like Fandango. Yet they still kept JTG for 8 years, and you know. But I can go on that. But next match is I thought they would have Ziggler and Cesaro, but I think that's going to be a filler match. The next match is Big Show versus Rusev, which I already said. Which I don't know who's interested in this or interested in Big Show and Henry. Who thinks Big Show is going to go over Rusev?
Once again, how many times have we seen this match before the pay-per-view?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Any Game Boy?
Yeah, I think Rusev's going to take it. You know, Hell in a Cell is not one of the big four, and I've been hearing about Big Show having a heel turn, which looks like it's leading up to.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading about that. They thinking that he's going to have a heel turn, which I don't think. Why? You know, last year he was a heel. Now this year, you know, he turned to face when he fought Brock. In the beginning of the year, he was a face. He's been a face all year.
Wait a minute. He was a face a year ago. He was a face, but he was crying from the Authority.
I know, but he was working with the Authority, so it was kind of like almost heelish because he was having them do all that crazy stuff. Yeah.
This proves the show.
But think about it. I mean, he was a face, but he was technically a heel. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because he's working for the Authority.
This proves to show you that, one, WWE doesn't know what to do with Big Show. Two, Big Show, the same thing that makes him who he is kind of limits him because he's big. He can't really do but so much. I mean, he's a great athlete, but he's not as, you know, he's not like a Ziggler or somebody that you could just throw in the ring with anybody. Big Show could work. You know, big fan of Big Show back when he was Medium Show in WCW. But
the giant
shows if you keep flipping someone heel face, and sporadically, it's like okay, we all see it coming.
He flips more than a flapjack on a grill. So yeah. All right.
And it's a lot that you know, younger fans, if you don't know what flapjacks are, they're called pancakes.
Hashtag pancakes.
Someone was wondering if you didn't know what flapjacks were. Pancakes. And I'm surprised Shimblade actually calls them flapjacks. But we're moving on. Next
all right. Next match is the one that I am waiting to see just because of what can be thrown in this match. And it's a Hell in a Cell match between the Lunatic Fringe and, should I say this, kids close your ears, the Titty Master, Dean Ambrose, versus the Architect, the bought-in Seth Rollins. I am looking forward to this. Now, to tell you the truth, everybody has everybody has seen this match, them scuffle all the time. But from Mick Foley's promo, I am 100% into this match. As far as him talking about his kids and the Shield, now anything goes.
You know what? I think this match ain't gonna be that great. I know they're in the Hell in a Cell, and I know it's on paper, and for what we seen, their chemistry, it look like it's gonna be just blow you away. But for some reason, I don't think that it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like almost like imploded. Like you think it's gonna be really good, and then it's just gonna kind of like just end. Like they're not gonna use the cell as much as that. I just have this odd feeling like it's just not gonna be that. And believe it or not, I think Cena and Orton is going to almost outdo them.
Hold on, the world taken.
I know. I have this crazy feeling that they're going to try too hard, and it's just not going to. It's not going to feel right. I will hope, and please, fans, if you're hearing, I will hope that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose blow the roof off. I'm not saying that I don't want them to. I'm just saying that I have this feeling that they're just not going to bring what we want them to bring. I think they're going to kind of hold back a little bit, which is why I'm getting sick and tired of the whole feud to begin with, is because it seems like they keep holding back, instead of just going all out. They have the talent, they have the chemistry. We all know about their prior days before, WWE. They need to go all out, but I don't know. I have this feeling like it's just. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong, though. If I'm wrong,
one thing's for sure. Well, one thing's for sure. This match won't end in the DQ, and it will happen unlike the other two previous matches, which was DQ and what have you.
It was only one.
Hopefully the Titty Master, #tits, we love him. Oh, it's the month, Titty Month, too. Support breast cancer on all Thursdays. Please do. Support breast cancer. Seriously, I've lost a dear friend. I lost a dear friend of mine. Sister Tina, love you much, to breast cancer. So on all seriousness, do you please support breast cancer if you can't wear pink, or support to Susan. I forgot last name. Is it Curran?
Susan
Foundation?
G. Coleman.
Yeah, Susan G. Coleman. Yes.
Now,
before we
move on,
we do love titties. #titties. They're great.
Hold on.
And
okay,
everything
he
else.
brought it down. All right. I do have an aunt who battled breast cancer twice. She went through the first time. My Aunt Lorraine. Shout out to Aunt Lorraine.
Hey, Aunt Lorraine.
And she came back the second time. It came back the second time, and she had a double mastectomy. And during this month, I got the bracelet, which I won't take off, and I have Baltimore Ravens breast cancer and things of that nature. So I do that in support of her. But the titty shirt is sponsored by Tech himself from Under the Mat Radio, and it will be in stores next year. But
indeed,
next match will be the quote-unquote main event, which is obviously the loser's match, but the Authority sweetened the pot, which the winner of this match gets to challenge the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion, and say it with me, kids, Brock Lesnar.
Did you say kid?
And it was, yes.
Was that a kid? What was that? Okay.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The match is
GB3. Somebody saying, yeah, okay.
Now the match is shout out to Evan Ginsberg, who said this will be the 3,000th time this will happen. John Cena versus Randy Orton.
Like Dragon Ball Z.
Now I will be on Twitter most of the match because I really don't care. We all know that Captain 4Kids is going to win this match, but I do think that I'm going for Orton. Just shake it up.
Okay, I have to disagree. I have a little hunch. First, with the Titty Master and Seth Rollins and his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. attire that he wears. I'm with Vince Game Boy. I think this match will be very good. It has the potential to be the best match on the card. Hopefully they don't hold back. So I do see Seth Rollins is going to go over. We all know because they're going to keep dumping them and shoving them down our throats because he has the Money in the Bank match. Money in the Bank.
And it's best for business.
Yeah, it's the best for business. Now, if anyone has noticed, and of course, me being tech, I notice every little detail. And I've said this before a month ago, and it's Game Boy can attest to it. I mentioned before that how Orton has been acting more like a face lately in his matches. He's doing little small things that heel shouldn't do. Case in point, pumping the crowd up. Case in point, talking to the crowd. Case in point, doing his little shoulder shakes and shoulder convulsions as he does the RKO and taunting with the crowd. Therefore, I see a face turn to Randy Orton. I see Randy Orton leaving the Authority, not necessarily being a tag team with Cena, but I see him leaving the Authority because if you notice, they're playing the whole Orton, Seth Rollins thing back and forth, Orton, RKO, Heyman. So I believe, yes, Captain Four Kids might win, but really, how many times are we going to see Cena and Brock? Brock beat him twice. Really, let's not see, why not see Orton go against Brock? That match has never happened. It's never been done. It's something fresh and new, and it's hard for WWE to do something fresh and new. But why not? Think about it. Survivor Series. Randy Orton versus Brock. I'm sorry, NFC Game Boy.
Exactly why this ain't the same Brock Lesnar from 2002.
And Orton was a 4-kid too.
But my point is,
he was a rookie.
It wouldn't be realistic, even though you're talking about a show that's built on storylines. Some of the storylines have to be realistic. You can believe Big Show beating Brock Lesnar. You can believe John Cena beating Brock Lesnar. But Randy Orton and all those other guys, you can believe Triple H beat Brock Lesnar. These are bigger guys. His size and with his martial arts ability, when he went to UFC and he came back, it put him on a higher pedestal. Even though it would probably look entertaining, at the end, if he beat him, you're going to be like, really? Like he beat him? Unless he cheated or he really took some weapons and added hit him 7-8 chair shots or something like that and didn't do it. That's the only way it will look somewhat believable. Because if he just come in and have a regular match.
Actually, for a rare case, I disagree. I feel the Brock now is weaker than the Brock back when he was in his prime. Reason why? Brock's size. Brock is a little more solid. He's slower. He's UFC, but he's more fight. Brock in his prime, 2002, 2003, 2004, was agile. He was fast. He was young. He wrestled. He had speed. That Brock was the most dangerous. Not saying Brock isn't dangerous now, but I think Brock in his prime was a lot more dangerous.
I'm at the beat. Hold on.
And I feel like this. I agree with what you're saying. And the reason why we're having this debate is because WWE has not been building up Randy Orton. He's just been going through the motions. It has not been fair. If WWE will push Orton hard and actually get behind him, like they did back when he was feuding with Triple H, and he had that what the hell was that disorder he had, that anger disorder. If they pushed him hard,
he had a
IED, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Right now, NXT Game Boy, I agree with you. But if WWE would push Orton hard for maybe to the Rumble, and went behind him and built them back, I believe that match will kind of be believable. Not saying Orton will win, but at least make it so, like you said, it will be believable that Orton could have a chance to beat Brock Lesnar.
And I still disagree with you. And the only reason why I am a fellow martial artist. And you ask any of our former guests who are martial artists and watch wrestling, and you tell them what you just said to me, they will tell you they disagree. Why? Just because Brock is slow and a little bit more bulky and a little more flabby, he is still a mixed martial arts expert.
I want to say he's an expert.
Oh, no. I'm going to tell you why I say expert. because he's won the championship numerous times. Even though his competition may not have been good, even his competition might have been bad, he still won it. There's not storylines in the UFC. There's not fixed punches and fixed bloods and stuff. You can act like it is, and you can say, "Oh, Dana White's setting these guys up." And I'm telling you, dead honest. Randy Orton will not be able to.
I agree with what you're saying. However, I will not call Brock Lesnar no mixed martial arts expert. I will say he's a very fit mixed martial artist. But for me, if I hear the word expert, I'm thinking of somebody like a Randy Couture, like a Ken Shamrock, like a Dan Severn, like a Bass Rutten, like a Tito Ortiz. Now, I give you, Brock he's a legit MMA fighter. I give you that. I wouldn't say expert only because that takes time and build. Brock is a fit MMA fighter, but of course he wasn't there long enough to build that and didn't fight enough people to get the expert going. But I will say this to defense in this game, boy. I know you was away taking care of business. I saw Brock in his prime. And as a wrestler myself, and knowing what he dealt with, and watched Brock in his prime against the Angles and the Undertakers before he was hurt every year, and the Triple H's, and the Rocks, and the Benoits, and the Eddie Guerreros. You hear this list? And he actually went.
There was no Triple H on that list.
It was we won't miss around Triple H. But the people that he went toe-to-toe with at that time, as a wrestler myself, I actually feel if Orton now went against Brock then, it would definitely be a no contest.
Well,
but
the thing is...
At the end of the day, of course, George, if Vince McMahon says so, guess what happens?
Okay.
If that was the case,
you just broke the fourth wall, man.
He would be at this pay-per-view. Think about that. If Vince McMahon said so, he'd have been at this pay-per-view instead of at home watching it, eating popcorn and chilling with CM Punk.
And Jimmy John sandwiches.
Of course, Jimmy John sandwiches, partial contracts, and other things vetoed that. But I'm
gonna leave it alone because maybe I shouldn't say expert. I will retract that statement. But I will say, as a martial artist, as a fellow martial artist, I am a martial artist, like to the core. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've never been in an octagon, I've never been in the ring, I have fought in martial art tournaments. I strongly believe there is no way in God's green earth that Randy Orton can believably beat Brock Lesnar right now.
And
believably. I'm sorry. Unless he used some weapons and cheers, unless Paul Heyman sprays some mace in his face or something like that. Something had to be, hey, get the stun gun thing, the thing they use on Goldberg.
Taser.
The taser or whatever.
Star K98.
Yeah, something of that magnitude. That's why you think that they did that to Goldberg, because it wouldn't have looked believable that Kevin Nash could beat Goldberg.
Actually,
that's a little. I agree with that. That was a little different. Goldberg shouldn't have lost, but it was other ways around it. But
no, I'm saying that's why they used it. It was comical to use, but I'm saying that's why they used it, because Kevin Nash couldn't beat no Goldberg. Goldberg was in his prime. Kevin Nash was still old.
I think Kevin Nash is one of the few that could.
He was weighing out, but I mean,
he was, really? He wasn't as fast as Goldberg.
And I get that. And like I said, as fans, you get to hear exclusive because you rarely hear Tech and NC Game Boy disagree on the topic. But like you said, you're a mixed martial artist.
And Shin Blade has to ref it.
And Shin Blade has to ref it with the beanie hat. Thank you very much.
I'm about to put the cage down on both of you and keep playing. I'm about to put the cage down on both of you and keep playing. That's DLC content for your ass.
They call you beanie ref. But
really?
And it's a game where you are martial artists. I know personally, but then I am a wrestler myself. I know we had two totally different viewpoints on this.
You wrestle noodles?
That's totally fine. Shin Blade, we were talking.
I'm about to say, Jack actually is a wrestler. He did wrestle in high school and everything.
In the middle school.
I am witnessing one
division?
He is a wrestler.
Okay, the cruiserweight division?
Cruiserweight.
the Floyd Mayweather division?
But real quick, because we do have, I believe we do have coming in, real quick. We have just dropped them. I believe we had Rob Long calling in. But with that being said, we're gonna bring in right now. Is this the great Bill Anderson?
Nope, it's Toph. You messed up again, Tech.
Toph. I keep messing up. I don't know that was you. I keep doing it on purpose. So real quick, well, we got some time before Bill Anderson call in. Real quick, buddy, what's up? We got about 2 minutes. Give us your take on Raw, Hell in a Cell, real quick.
Oh, I just called in because I heard there was a debate. Oh, everything's all peaceful and stuff. Oh, the show.
Yeah, I just posted on the page.
Real quick.
Okay, hold up. Toph, give your opinion then. I mean, you know.
Oh, I don't have any jokes this week. I just thought the show was pretty much fine, you know. Shout out to Foley passing the torch to Ambrose, I guess. I mean, Raw was fine. I don't have any material to joke with this time, so, you know.
The debate, NXT game, real quick, you can talk about the debate, and Bill Anderson.
Well, he heard the debate. That's why he's saying he heard the debate. So that's why I said, go ahead.
No, he just called in.
Oh, he just called in. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you guys were in the process of debating about something.
We literally
I didn't put the details down. I didn't put the details down, but they were saying how can Brock Lesnar beat Randy Orton, either the 2002 version or the 2014 version?
And which Brock was more?
That's not what we're debating about. But you can answer that.
It wasn't. But real quick, so we got about 1 minute before we bring in Bill Anderson. Who's the most dangerous Brock? Is it current Brock or was it Brock in his prime?
Oh, well, Brock in his prime was throwing down one-legged people downstairs, so you can't really beat that.
He said in his prime. You can't count that. You can't say in his prime.
That's 2003.
Prime. You say in his prime to anything.
Dude, man, Brock in his prime was drinking milk with Kurt. Come on.
2000 from 2002 to when his last movie was that 2000. What's it? 4, 5?
2003.
This is what I wanted to ask. Let me ask this question. This is one I asked Toph. Answer. Give me your opinion. Do you think that Randy Orton can believably beat Brock Lesnar right now?
Yeah, he can. Because, you know, the RKO hits out of nowhere. He can.
Okay.
Randy Orton's a tall dude. Randy Orton looks a lot more intimidating than John Cena does. I mean, I would rather fight John Cena than Orton in a legit shoot fight. Orton's tall. His style is very methodical. He works on your leg, your head, your knee. He works on body parts. He actually tells a story. You know, I mean, it would be a very long match, but...
So
actually, I have to go against...
Okay, I disagree with that. I
have to go against Toph on this one because Brock Lesnar in 2013, he is better than what he was in 2002. So with that, if Cena can't beat him, which he's Super Cena, Captain for Kids, kicks out of 3 AAs, I don't think that an RKO can take out Brock Lesnar.
Well, it depends on the kind of match you're having, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you have to beat Brock Lesnar down with pipes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If he used chairs and weapons and stuff, then yes, he can beat him. But
not straight up.
No.
With that being said, right now, and so if you can stay on for a few minutes, this would be a great support. Right now we have live, the man, the legend, the author himself, Big Bill Anderson. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio.
How you doing, gentlemen? Nice to be here with you today.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Real quick, Bill. Did you get a chance to hear the debate we were just having, or did you just call
I caught part of it. Yes. I don't know. I'll take the UFC Brock Lesnar. How's that?
Okay. We got one.
Yes.
1-1. Okay.
Yeah, because honestly, a few years ago, I thought he was unstoppable, and I didn't think there was a man in the world that could beat him in a shoot. I really thought that until he got his butt handed to him. I thought he was the king. I really did.
Okay.
And since then, I think he's a little more gun shy in reality about fighting. That's just my opinion.
So we have
that liver disease will do it.
Okay. We had 1-1. We have one for UFC Brock and one for Brock in his prime. Real quick, Toph, buddy, we got Big Bill Anderson. And did you have a question real quick for Big Bill Anderson?
No questions. I'm just here to listen. So thanks for having me, guys.
Okay. All right, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Toph.
Go ahead and meet you now. Thanks, buddy.
See you later, Toph.
All right, Big Bill, thanks again for calling in, having us on again,
my
man.
pleasure.
Thank you much.
My pleasure, Evan. My pleasure. And you guys got a very respectable show, and that's why I'd always be willing to come on for you guys. And you guys are first class.
Thank you. That means a lot from us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it definitely does. How you feeling, Bill? Here in Baltimore, it's rainy, it's nasty, and I know you over in the West Coast, probably enjoying the sunshine and everything else.
It's a beautiful day here. I've just eaten outside at a restaurant, and it's just it's cooled down to about 75 degrees, and it's absolutely beautiful. We're getting into our winter season, so it's going to be in the high 60s soon. It's so not to scare you guys off from the East Coast, but it's beautiful out here. It's going to get better in the next month or two. And
wait, where are you again?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, lucky man.
And yeah, it's 115 in the summer, but our winters, it's 60 to 70 degrees during the day on a cold day.
Well, tell you the truth, Mr. Anderson, I'm from the Great Shores of Hawaii, and I would go back in a heartbeat.
That's beautiful. I spent a lot of time wrestling in Hawaii and doing some shows at Hickam Air Force Base. I spent 10 days at Hickam Air Force Base doing some shows for our troops about 11 years, about 12 years ago now. And love Hawaii. Oh, yeah. Hawaii's beautiful. It's just it's a beautiful island. It's just paradise. I mean, that's the only way you can sum it up. It's total paradise.
Right.
I used to catch a lot of heat from my wife at the time when I used to go wrestle in Hawaii. She told me I'm having so much fun and I'm on vacation, and there were some times where I absolutely flew in and took a taxi to the arena and then had to take another taxi back after the show and head right back home. And she told me I was living in paradise over there. And it was like, I don't know how you figure that. So many hours on each flight on the flight. It's not too much paradise, but I always enjoyed. I wrestled for Leah Maivia many times over there, and I did some WWF ring announcing there back, 20 years ago, I guess, or more than 20 years ago, probably. So it's beautiful. Islands are beautiful.
Okay.
You said you did WWF ring announcing back in the day. If you can. Give us your thoughts of give us your experience of working for the WWF back in the day. Was this when it was ran by Vince Sr., or was it early?
No, it was 88. I'm talking about 88, 89, 90, 91, all through late 80s, early 90s. And I did ring announcing from off and on from Seattle to Denver to Honolulu and Salt Lake, different places, mostly to the West Coast for the most part. And it was just an absolute great array of talent. I mean, you had the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation and Jannetty and Michaels and Hogan and Bossman and Andre and Jake and Rick Rude. It was just the old timers of those days. They're old timers now, I guess. They were current crop at that time. And it was just a really good group of talent that sold out arenas left and right. And it was a great time. I first started working for Vince Jr. in '83 when he expanded to California, when he bought Mike LaBelle out in Los Angeles, is where I lived at the time. And that's how I got my foot in the door in those days. And I was working as just an undercard wrestler, opening matches, wrestling like Gordman and Goliath and John Tolis for Vince Jr. for WWF, and wrestling Mickey Doyle and Rick Drayson and Jack Armstrong and different local guys. And then in '88, I think it was '88, Lee Marshall was ring announcer on the West Coast, and he eventually he quit to work for Vern Gagne, and when he left, it left a void on the show. And Chief Jay Strongbow was a road agent, and I was standing around in a suit as a standby wrestler looking for work. And he says, "Billy, have you ever done any ring announcing?" And I said, back in '74 in Phoenix. I did, or '73, I should say, in Phoenix. I did. And he goes, "Good, you're our ring announcer tonight. Go to the ring." There were 17,000 people out there, and I said, "Chief, it's a lot different for the 17,000 it isn't for the 300." He says, "Billy, you got the job." And I said, "Okay." Didn't even have to audition for it. I just went out there and did my job, and they loved it. And I had it for years after that, all through the West Coast. I mean, a lot of the towns, San Diego, Bakersfield, Fresno, so many different California cities, and it was a great thing. It was a lot of fun. And then on TV tapings, I wrestled with a mask on because I couldn't show my face. So I wrestled as for WWF as the Black Knight or the White Shadow, different names I used different times. And they covered me with a hood because they didn't want people to know, they theoretically know it was me, because I was the ring announcer for Los Angeles, the biggest arena there, and biggest card on the West Coast was the LA Sports Arena, and they didn't want the fans to know it was me. So, I kind of was a jack of all trades. I had to be, if you're not going to be Hulk Hogan, you better make sure you're good at a whole bunch of things.
if you can, real quick, I know the wrestling world, we lost the great Stagger Lee Marshall, and of course, that's people you didn't know. He also was the voice of Tony the Tiger.
The second voice.
The second voice. Memories of the late great Lee Marshall, Bill.
Oh, I absolutely love Lee. I worked a lot of independent shows with Lee. He was a ring announcer in a lot of California shows. And he owned the Gold's Gym in Southern California for a long time. And I knew Lee for many, many, many years. In fact, just before he passed away, just a month before, he had messaged me about something on Facebook. And we used to communicate all the time like that, just like we do, Evan. Every now and then we just say hello and start talking. And Lee used to do that to me, and then I was just so shocked when he passed. He was just an absolute tremendous guy, always upbeat, always. Never negative, always saw the positive things in life, and that's what I loved about Lee. Whenever you had him on talking on the phone or on a message, on a Facebook thing, it was all upbeat stuff, talking about what he's doing. He's happy, life's great, and that's why it was even the more sadder when he passed. I didn't even realize he was in his 60s. I always think of Lee as like 40 years old. I keep thinking I'm the only one that's getting older. Everybody else stays the same. And Lee was just a tremendous man, and I was just extremely saddened by his passing, very much so. And I owe a lot to Lee. First of all, he was kind of my mentor. I tried, when I was ring announcing in the late 80s, I tried to pattern myself a little bit after Lee, being just a consummate professional. When he was ring announcing, I know he later did broadcasting, as a play-by-play guy and everything, but he was one of the greatest ring announcers. His voice was it was unparalleled. I mean, he it's one of those Gene Okerlund type things. It's just like, you got a job for life as long as you don't lose your voice. And Lee was just the greatest, and I owed my second coming of work with WWF as a ring announcer for them because of Lee, only because he left. And this poor guy didn't give any notice he was leaving either. But that's his dealing with with Vince and Vern, that he left announcing his departure, and that left the void that I filled for many, many years. And it gave me a good income when I was married, and I had a newborn son at the time, so it was very important to me. And I owe a lot to Lee, and I always think great things of that man till the day I'm gone. He was a good person, good heart.
NSC Game Boy?
Well, Bill, I know we had you on the show before, and I want to say I apologize because I had a family emergency, and I know Tech did the show by himself. I just want to, apologize to you that I wasn't had the chance to interview you at that time, and I'm glad that I had the chance now, especially
no problem.
in the wrestling world.
I understand. I understand perfectly.
And I'm just glad that I got a second chance at this. And my question to you is this: another one of our brothers had passed away, Big Ox. I remember hearing the story about him many, many years ago about a riot that he started. and I finally got the chance to see it thanks to YouTube and everything. I finally got a chance to see it. I didn't even know the video was on YouTube. Somebody actually recorded, but the ride that he started, and it was just amazing that a person can bring that much heat in the business. My question to you is, what are your memories of Big Ox?
I can tell you, I only worked one show as a active wrestler with Ox, and that was in Hammond, Indiana, in 1981. Dick the Bruiser was running shows, and I was living in Chicago at the time. And I worked a show at the Hammond Civic Center, and I was in like the first or second match. And the main event was Dick the Bruiser and, oh my gosh, I don't even know what it was. It was a tag match, but Ox Baker was in that match. And I have the program somewhere. I have to look at it and find it and see who was in that match. But Ox was on the show, and that was the only show I actually worked with Ox. I kind of knew him more from Cauliflower Alley Club, seeing him at different events. Plus, I was with him in New York for one of John Arezzi's old conventions back, I think, in 93 or 94, somewhere in New York. I went back to do some ring announcing for John Arezzi, and he had the Sheik and the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat there, and Kevin Sullivan and Conan, and it was a lot of great talent. My student Louis Spicoli was on that show, so I went back with Louis and I did the ring announcing, and Ox was at this convention too, and there was a lot of great talent there. Nancy Sullivan was there with Kevin. She was married to him at the time, and God rest her soul. And it was a really good time, and I spent some time with Ox then, and he was just a very friendly guy. He was everybody said it on Facebook. I've been reading so many posts. He was the complete opposite of his in-ring character in real life. He was a real mild-mannered guy and real big-hearted guy, and he just loved people. He loved the wrestling business. He was one of the greatest characters ever. Ox Baker, just a big, mean guy. He gained a lot of notoriety from the Escape from New York movie with Kurt Russell. Yes. And back in, I don't even know, like 80 or 81 or something like that, whatever year that was. And that was it was a great role for him. Perfect casting for that. I mean, that man's size versus Kurt Russell was just beautiful done. And Ox was just one of the great characters. They don't, like I posted on Facebook, they just don't make them like that anymore. And that's what's lacking in the business now, a character such as an Ox Baker that it didn't matter how he wrestled. That wasn't even the point. It was his look. The look sold it all. It reminds me, just to change the subject very slightly here, an an actor once asked Gloria Swanson, how did you act when you did silent movies? And she says, we didn't need to act. We had faces back then. We could tell a story with our face, and that's what they did. And Ox Baker could tell a story with his body language. He didn't have to do anything in the ring. Yeah, he threw his heart punch, that's fine. But, I mean, he gained a lot of notoriety because a couple of guys passed away, coincidentally, after matches with him, with that heart punch, which was the greatest thing that could have happened to Ox, because it just built up his legacy a little more. Sad to say about, was it Ray Gunkel and Alberto Torres, I think, or something like that, back in the 70s, a long time ago. And so, he built up a lot of notoriety, but he was just a great character, and they just don't have guys like that anymore. Not to take anything away from the guys nowadays, but they're all basically a bunch of good-looking, John Cena-looking guys. And it's like, there's no characters. There's no character. You had the Sheik and Pampero Firpo, or Dick the Bulldog Brower, or a superstar Billy Graham, and you had character. The guys had more persona than they could deal with. They had so much. You didn't need ring music. You just announced their name, and the crowd was on its feet. And that's all it took in those days. I really miss that.
And I'm going to turn it over to Shinblade real quick. I know Shinblade has witnessed watching YouTube a couple with the Ox Baker riots. Shinblade, you had a question for Bill Anderson?
I have to say though that I'm currently watching it right now, turning the volume down, and I gotta say this is nuts. That the entertainment, even though it was well protected back in the '60s and '70s, uh, that he can incite riots like that, and you don't know many heels of that nature. And I agree with you that everybody is like a John Cena lookalike, and everybody can see through the characters. But this guy had to be one of the worst heels, well, one of the best heels ever in the business.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry. Growing up, who were your favorite wrestlers besides Ox Baker, and why?
Oh boy. Well, when I was 16 or 17, I first got to meet Andre the Giant in Portland, Oregon. I was living there, training with my trainer was Kurt Von Steiger, who mainly wrestled in the Pacific Northwest. He worked in circuits all over the country, but Kurt and Carl Von Steiger worked Amarillo and Portland area for Don Owen. And I was living in Portland for a while, and I met Jack Briscoe, was defending his NWA World title. This is 73, 74. He defended his belt up there against Mad Dog Vachon once, and against, I think it was Dutch Savage, or it was, Dutch Savage. And my heroes were like Andre and Jack Briscoe. Jack Briscoe, I thought, was the consummate professional babyface who could wrestle. And he was just a good-looking guy, in shape, with the credentials, be an NCAA champion, and he could back it up in the ring. He was just no nonsense, just a good wrestler. I admired him from a babyface perspective. I loved Andre just because Andre was one of the greatest gimmicks that's ever been put on the face of the earth for wrestling, and I'll debate anybody with this next statement. He is the only giant that's ever been in wrestling. I mean, there's been a lot of big men. There's Big Show. We all know all their names, but Andre was different. He really was different, and I saw him when he was real healthy and could still do drop kicks and things like that. Believe it or not, but it didn't matter. When you stood next to Andre, there was just nothing like him. His hands, his back, his head. Nothing compares. And I've been around every big man, Giant Gonzalez, Big Show. I've been in the ring with a lot of these guys. And I've been in the ring with Andre in a battle royal for WWF. I wrestled Andre in a battle royal, and he was just such a unique character. I always respected Andre, always. And when you talk to a lot of veterans, guys like Superstar Billy Graham that I see all the time, he'll put over Andre faster than he'll put over anybody, saying that he was the greatest giant ever in the business. And that's from a superstar, no pun intended, point of view. It's just a lot of the guys will look at it like that. And it's not taking anything away. You know, we all know Big Show's a big man, and a lot of these guys are. But Andre, I got to meet as a kid and still in high school, and I hadn't even broken into the business yet. And I just thought he was just the ultimate. And, Terry Funk was another hero of mine. I used to catch the Amarillo TV tapes when I lived in Phoenix. Went to high school, most of my years in high school in Phoenix here, in 71 to 74. And I used to get the Amarillo tapes that would come into Phoenix. And I'd see Dory and Terry Funk, and I'd see, oh my God, the Kozaks, Jerry and Nick Kozak, Apache Gringo and Bull Ramos, and a lot of guys like that. And so watching Terry Funk, he was another one of my heroes that I've got to know through the CAC a lot. And they're just great old timers like that were really cool guys and respectable guys. And it was a different era, It was a neat era. I loved it.
Now, I want to ask you this about Andre the Giant, because I hear many stories, and most of them sound the same. Andre the Giant, apparently, he was a nice guy, but inside the industry, was it true when they said that when he didn't like you, he absolutely did not like you? He would do nasty things to you in the ring?
I can only tell you, I only heard that one time that he had a problem. That's just what I've heard. I know basically everybody loved him, but I know he had a problem with Akira Maeda, I believe his name is, over in Japan. And a lot of the tape's been around. I don't even know if it's on YouTube. I have actually a VHS copy of a shoot between them two where Andre just laid down and wouldn't wrestle the guy and challenged him to come and lay on top of him and do something to him. And Maeda kicked him so hard he really hurt his knees for the rest of Andre's life. But Andre was uncooperative, and Inoki finally had to come out and break it up. And Andre, honestly, what I heard was he had done that because a tour before, Maeda was shooting with all the Americans coming over and treating them like garbage. And he so disrespected all of Andre's friends that Andre was going to pay him back when he came to Japan. So I can't really say that was faulting Andre for doing what he felt he needed to do to kind of protect his friendship with his guys. I don't know who the guys were that Maeda hurt on the tour before, but for New Japan. But that's a story I've seen the tape, so I know the Andre match happened. I just don't know all the particulars of why. But I've honestly, I've been around the business for over 40 years. I have never heard a negative story about Andre the Giant at all in the ring, to be honest with you. And I worked at least 100 shows as a ring announcer, referee, or a wrestler with Andre. And I never saw anything like that. I saw him work with Hogan, Rick Rude, Jake Roberts, and you name it. I saw it all through the 80s and early 90s. Ultimate Warrior, I probably saw that match 50 times. And I never saw him be disagreeable in the ring or be mean-spirited or anything to anyone because Andre really loved the business. You got to remember, he loved it enough to lay down or lose the Ultimate Warrior about 150 times in a few months period of time on his way out. That's how much Andre loved the business because he wanted to be around it, and he really did respect the business. So I never heard a lot of the things you're talking about, to be very honest with you. If I'd heard it, I'd tell you I heard it. But I never saw it or...
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Good. You can go, Bill.
No, we saying go ahead.
Well, that's all I have to say about Andre. He was just a legendary figure. And again, Vince, it doesn't matter if you're Vince McMahon or who you have. If you have $800 million in the bank, you can't create another Andre the Giant. That's done. And, it's just the way it is. Big Show's a very big man, and he's got a lot of talent. There's no doubt about it. But, you can't compare him to Andre. And Andre came around at a period. It's like always they try to compare fighters with Muhammad Ali and all the rest. You can't do it, Could Tyson have beaten Muhammad Ali in his prime? God, who knows? There's such different styles and everything. It was just a unique, different business back then, in boxing and in wrestling.
Right.
It was totally different.
Wow. Well, my question for you, Bill, we know that you are an author. You wrote this incredible book. And I know that we've talked about your book before on the show. But I want to change gears a little bit. One thing that I did want to ask you was about your tours that you took at the different military bases. I know that you got a chance to see the troops and be with them back around the days of 9/11. Some of our fans who don't remember it, it was a very dark day for the United States. And, we became very patriotic at that time because, we haven't had an attack on our land since, the Pearl Harbor days. There have been bombings, the Michael McVeigh, type of bombings, but never of that magnitude. My question to you is, how did it feel visiting the troops at that time? With everything going on, and what was your mind state, going there, even though as a figure, a wrestler and everything, but, how was the experience?
Well, I'll tell you, it was to me, it was something I'll treasure my entire life. I did 2 one-month tours a year apart. One was to the Middle East and one was to the Orient. I'll tell you about the Middle East one first. I had a chance through a promoter named Tom Reeder out of Missouri. He managed as Tom Shade. But Tom Reeder gave me an opportunity in April of 2002. We're just talking 4 months, 5 or 6 months after 9/11, to go to Afghanistan. And if you don't think this fat American, out-of-shape guy was happy to go stand on Afghan soil when I knew Osama bin Laden could be watching from the mountains above, you don't think I was happy, you're crazy. I was in pig heaven going there and standing off of a C-30 cargo plane and standing on that soil in the middle of the night at Bagram Air Force Base. I was in very much heaven through the whole tour. We got to go, I was with Gene Snitsky, his real name, not Snitsky, as the WWE like to call him. Gene Snitsky and Lloyd Anaya and Sam Anaya. And we were over there. We went to Egypt. We got to spend a week in Egypt, in Cairo. And I got to ride camels around the pyramids of Giza. I got to entertain myself that way for my personal thing, besides seeing the troops. We got to entertain the guys and give them wrestling shows. And I don't think I could have been more proud as an American to do that. And I would have laid my life down. If my plane would have crashed, I would have probably had a smile on my face as it went down. Because we were in a lot of real shady areas. We spent 4 days in Uzbekistan. And we were there when they were doing raids in Afghanistan at the time, all through that part of that evil part of the world over there at that time. And Uzbekistan, we were in a muddy camp for 4 days entertaining the troops at night with wrestling shows. But we were in Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night doing an autograph signing. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. The soldiers, when they came into the tent to get our autographs, they were crying. And they were like looking at us and thanking us. They were saying, "Thank you for coming. We kind of thought America had forgot about us already." And I said, "Are you kidding me?" We were in tears. Me and Snitsky were crying like babies. So you guys are the heroes, man. We're not heroes. We're you guys. You guys got the guns, man. You guys are the ones doing the good stuff over here, doing what you feel you need to do. We're American, man. We're just American sympathizers with you here, and we're just coming over to say hello and give you an autograph and say hi and pat you on the back and say job well done. And I'll never forget standing in that tent with the soldiers, and we all hugged and cried. And I had never been so proud of my life to have done anything. And I caught a lot of heat at home. I had a girlfriend or fiance at the time, and she was like, "What are you going to do? I mean, you're going to a bad area. Your plane could go down. You could get shot down easily in some of the areas you're at." And I said, "You know what?" And I told my son, who was, oh my gosh, my son was only 12 years old then. I told, or 13 years old. I says, you got to know your dad's doing what he feels is right. And if I go down to my country, and that's fine. And it made me feel, because I never was in the service, but it made me feel exactly what a lot of soldiers feel when they lay their life down for our country. And I felt the same way in my own way, although I was unarmed. I thought, whatever happens here, I'm an American, and I'm doing what I have to do for my country. And we got to go to Kuwait. We spent 5 days in Kuwait City doing shows, and I got to see the devastation that Saddam Hussein had done on Kuwait City when he invaded back years before. And I saw blood-stained walls and bullet-riddled airports and places where he had destroyed and hung people and things like that. So it was an education about our culture in different countries, and I got to spend about 6 days in Turkey, and we were only about 4 miles from the Iraqi border, where at the town we were in. We weren't going into Iraq at that time. We were worried about Afghanistan, and so I got to go to some real tremendous areas there. And the funny thing was, when I was in Cairo at one of the bases, because the year before I'd actually been over to Korea, Okinawa, Japan. We were at Yokota Air Force Base in Tokyo. We were at let's see, oh my gosh, all these different islands. I can't even think now. And a soldier that was in Korea said, I met you last year in Korea, and he was standing in Cairo with me. And it was just the funniest thing. It was like, oh my God, I couldn't remember him, but because we shake so many hands and do so much stuff, but it was like he was giving me a big hug, and I was like, this is so cool. I mean, these soldiers are real professionals, and they're good people, and they're fighting keep our freedom here in this country for as we know it. And we all die a little bit every time we hear about one of our soldiers passing away from anything overseas, and we wish they were with their families, but they're protecting our country. And I was very proud to have done all the overseas touring that I did for this country and for Armed Forces Entertainment. And I was thankful to have had the opportunity, very much so.
And
you know what?
Speaking of doing, I'm sorry. I just want to say real quick. Speaking real quick, you doing a great work by Bill Anderson for Troops. I want to give a shout out to our buddy Mike Ryan, who's a fundraiser guru. He was on our show a few months ago. He actually got a custom built made for the Raptor. I could send you the link. It was on NBC News and Fox News, and donated to a disabled vet. So we do, thank you, Bill, and big ups to Mike Ryan, too, for the work that you do for disabled veterans and current veterans, too. We thank you for that.
Oh, that's really cool. You guys are awesome. And I'll tell you, I would do anything like that ever again. I would jump at it. I quit a job at the time I had a very good job in California. I was promoting wrestling shows and running a wrestling school, and I was also working a full-time job, and I quit my job to go overseas. I just said there's absolutely nothing more important to me on my mind right now than this is the only thing I could do for my country. I would have enlisted in a heartbeat if I would have been younger. I was in my 40s. There was no way nobody was going to take me. And so I would have done anything for our country. And at that point, I was just as insulted as everybody else. I didn't lose anybody personally in the 9/11 attack. I knew a lot of people that did lose friends and family. And it was just the greatest insult that we could have done. And there's not a day that goes by when I don't hear, oh my gosh, I shouldn't even have said it until I knew the name. I can't think of the guy's name that did that patriotic song. Oh my gosh, the guy, the
Bruce Springsteen?
No, big guy. Well, that's okay.
Wow.
We'll forget that part of this.
Song?
Yes.
I know the song. I don't know the singer.
Yeah, I can't think. I get a tear in my eye every time I. Yeah, I get a tear in my eye every time I hear those kind of songs because it's people
Lee
showing
Greenwood?
respect for our country.
Is it Lee
No,
Greenwood?
not him. No.
I'm going to look it up.
I'll
look it up.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks. Now that
You're welcome.
Now that I blew the punchline here, and it's just it's what we have to do. If like the old saying goes, you either love it or leave it. If you don't like to be here, by all means, go somewhere else and live. And
excuse me, Mr. Anderson, Big Bill Anderson. Yes. It was Lee Greenwood.
Okay, we'll go with that. That's fine. And hey, it's these guys. They write from the heart, and it's cool stuff, and I admire that and love it. So it's all good. But I love my tours overseas, and I do it in a heartbeat again.
Mr. Bill, I just want to say to you, I was reminded of a proverb that someone told me. A guy had told me I was working at a homeless shelter many years ago. And this guy, of course, that you cannot compare that to going and helping the troops. So please, fans, do not think that Game Boy is trying to compare the two. But the proverb is very fitting. And what he told me was that what's more important, the car or the gasoline? And I said, well, it's the gasoline. He said, no, it's the guy who go put the gasoline in the car. And the reason why he told me that was that sometimes, a lot of people forget that the drive, the passion that we have within ourselves, that we give to other people to push them. And by you growing up and being in the wrestling business, I know, and teaching many, many people, and going over there and helping those troops and giving them that drive, that push, when they might felt like, Americans gave up and stuff. that is a beautiful thing. And I understand that proverb now. Back then, I would look at him crazy because I was like, I don't get it. You know, now I'm much older. I'm in my mid-30s and stuff. You know, I understand.
Yeah.
And it's a basic proverb, but it is very fitting to this. And I thank you for giving those guys and men and women the drive that they need to protect our home. You know?
Oh, thank you. And it was just a complete honor. You know, we had girl wrestlers with us too. We had Malaya Hosaka on. She went on both tours with me, and we had Helena Heavenly on one tour, and then this other girl. Oh, what was her name? Valentina. She was just a cute little 18-year-old girl at the time. Now she's been working for the last 10, 12 years. She's a veteran. But we had some good girl wrestlers with us, which was good eye candy for the men, and they needed it. And I mean, not that they didn't have a lot of beautiful service women, believe me, but they enjoyed seeing the girl wrestlers in their little bathing suit type outfits and everything. So we had a lot of fun. And the islands I was thinking of, I couldn't think of a little while ago, was Okinawa and Guam, such legendary World War II islands and everything, and get to go to and spend some time. And you know, we had a blast. There was different islands we landed in, and in the Pacific, like Johnston Island, Kwajalein, that were very famous. Kwajalein was a big World War II island, and they said Bob Hope used to come over there in the 40s during World War II and entertain the troops for USO. So, you know, we were in good company with what we were doing and trying to do, and we had a lot of fun. In our spare time, we got to go snorkeling out in the ocean with sharks underneath us. We got to, you know, do crazy things in our spare time, but at night, when it came time to entertain our troops and do our thing, we were all business, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and everybody went home happy and back to their barracks happy. And we didn't get any preferential treatment. We ate in the mess hall right with everybody else, and we slept on cots in most of the places we went to. In some of the muddy camps in Uzbekistan we were in, we were just like every soldier. We just traipsed right through the mud with them, and there was no big special treatment. And I honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I wanted to kind of get a feel for what they were going through in our short 4-day span versus their months-long commitment that they did, and worrying about enemy fire, of course, too. So, you know, it was a really cool thing. So I'm glad you guys can appreciate it, and it's something I'll treasure my entire life. It's the proudest thing I probably have ever done in my life. You know, high spot of my life was traveling overseas and seeing, learning about our country. You know, I learned a lot about our country that I didn't even know. When I was in Korea in 2001, I had no idea that we still had troops in the same camps that they had from the 1950s, sitting there and rotating out like every 6 months or a year. I didn't know we still treated North Korea that same way. I was a very dumb American. I didn't understand that. And these soldiers have been going over there and sitting in these camps for the last 50, 60 years and rotating in and out. And just as if war could be an outbreak at any moment with North Korea. And I didn't know that, and I didn't understand it. And that's why when I first had the chance to go to Korea, I was like, why am I going to Korea? Well, I didn't know we had any soldiers in Korea. Well, boy, was I mistaken. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of American soldiers in Korea, in camps.
Wow.
And it's amazing that we don't know that all from our country here. At least I did. I shouldn't say everybody. I was ignorant of it. And I learned a great lesson. And, you know, we protected our property that we earned through wars and that sort of thing. And same with some of the islands in the Pacific. We still raise an American flag as the primary flag in some of the islands. And that was pretty amazing, getting off an airplane and seeing an American flag waving on an airport. And that was earned from World War II. And no other flag will wave there except an American flag. And that's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And,
I want to ask you, Bill, to switch gears to wrestling. On your website, BigBillAnderson.com. Anybody that get a chance, please go to www.BigBillAnderson.com. your personal photo gallery. You've met legends, O.J. Simpson, Ricky Steamboat, who you had.
I did a TV show with O.J.
Hey, I wasn't trying to make that as a joke, but O.J. Simpson, Ricky Steamboat, who we just had the honor of meeting and doing a great interview with, Bruno and Larry Blash.
I got to tell you, excuse me, one second. I got to tell you, you might be the only guy in the face of the earth that in the same sentence put Ricky Steamboat with O.J. Simpson.
Heard it first, right?
that was funny.
You heard it first. You meet other people, John Claude. The funny thing is, if you go on his website, and we'll post a link, our correspondent will post a link on our page. On these small squares, you get to see everyone's faces: Bret Hart, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Shane McMahon, Chris Jericho, and then there's a picture of you and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but you don't get to see his face, so you do see his shirt because he's so tall. It's like he has no head.
He was big. Now, I got to tell you, he didn't want to take that picture. I met him at a karate tournament in south of Los Angeles, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, Kareem, can I get a picture with you?" And he just it was like the last thing he wanted to do, but he didn't want to be overly mean to me. But man, I grew up watching the Lakers. I idolized the Lakers. I'm talking in the 70s, early 70s, man. And when Kareem was at his hottest, doing the hook shot and everything, the sky hook, and it's like, yeah. I idolized the guy. And it's like, please don't say no to me. I want the picture. But he stuck his hands in his pocket and took it anyway. So he's okay.
now, with the personal gallery, if you can give us a couple of stories real quick of the people that you met. I'm not going to say legends, but the Stone Colds, and then you met so many people. Melina, the late Ultimate Warrior, Sting, Honky Tonk Man.
Oh my God!
A lot of legends.
So many. I knew so many. Let me tell you some guys that I didn't take pictures with, but I knew very well and traveled with. I was so disappointed in myself because, like always, I think guys are going to live forever. And I was around Ray Stevens so many times in my life, spent a lot of time with Ray Stevens, and never took a picture with the man. How and why, I don't know. I'll kick myself to the day I'm laying in a grave, because he was such a nice man. I have to say, had some alcohol with the man a few times, and really enjoyed spending time with Ray. He was just a real down-to-earth, legendary guy. And I never took a picture with him. I never took a picture with Buddy Rogers when I had chances. And some guys like that I really regret. I'm a camera hound. I spend a lot of time taking photos wherever I go and do things, and I always have been like that. Used to get ridiculed and laughed at in the dressing room sometimes. But you know what? I don't care. I made a lot of friends that way. And I was down in Mexico wrestling in Mexico City back in the 80s. I used to go up to the guys I was wrestling in a match and say, "Hey, you sign this magazine cover with your picture on it." And they didn't even speak a word of English. They'd sign it. They treated me a lot better in the ring because of that. Because they knew I respected them, and which I always did. I just believe in being friendly with people. And I think, hey, you break the ice pretty good when you get pictures with them and you're friendly and you talk good stuff and you appreciate them. And I met them all. I worked with them all. I did a lot of things. And I'm very happy to have done some movies, thanks to Gene LaBelle and Red Bastien put me in some TV work. And Carl Lauer he was the former CAC vice president. Carl put me in a couple of movies and TV shows, and Red Bastien got me in a couple things. Gene LaBelle did a lot of work for me. Gene's the one that got me to work in that O.J. Simpson TV show, First and 10. As an HBO show back in 90, whatever it was, 91, 92, where I met OJ, and it was just I got to do some cool stuff because of friendships, and I was a networker, and I always have been, and I didn't do it to network. I did it. The networking was a result of being a friend to everybody, and that's more than what it was, and being at the right place at the right time. Like I told you the story about ring announcing for Vince. I landed that job because I was there and I was hungry to work, and work meant work. It didn't mean I had to be a wrestler. There's no ego involved. I made as much money. I probably got a lot more work as a ring announcer than I would have as a wrestler for Vince. And I was very happy to do it. And, so I always made myself available and cooperative. And no ego. If you want me to be the referee tonight? Yeah, I got a striped shirt in my bag. You want me to put a suit on? I got a suit in my bag. You want me to wrestle? I got the gear. And, and that's the way it went. You need me under a mask? That's fine. Oh, that's fine. You need me to help run the dressing room or do whatever. I did it. And I was very happy like that. And, I was able to go for 30-some years doing that in the business. And I got to meet just some absolutely finest guys, Rick Martel, and just guys at Brian Blair, who's the current CAC president. I knew Brian, 30 years ago, and he's a down-to-earth guy when I met him then, and he's just as good now. He's just the same guy. Lanny Poffo and late Randy Savage were absolutely the finest guys. And, and I was around a bunch of these guys that I really respected and admired. And I spent my life with my growing years as a human being with Jimmy Snuka. Tell you a story real fast. The night my son was born, and on August 10th of 1989, I was wrestling in Fresno, California, at WWF TV tapings. My son was going to be born about another 8 hours longer after the show was over, but I was at the tapings, and Chief Jay Strongbow comes up to me and he says, "Billy, I know your wife's in labor." Back in those days, we didn't have cell phones or computers or anything. So my wife had called the arena at the Selland Arena in Fresno and says, "Hey, will you somebody get a message to Bill Anderson that I'm going into labor right now and he needs to know." So when I got there, Pat Patterson walks up and he goes, "Bill, we got a message that your wife's in labor and you need to go home now." And I was hundreds of miles from home, and I said, "Well, let me earn my job here, do my job real fast, and I'll get in the car and drive home." So Chief comes up and he says, "Billy, I'll give you a choice of anybody you want to work with tonight, anybody on the roster." And I said, "Well, Chief, I'm not going to lie to you. If I want an easy match, put me in a tag with the Bushwhackers." And then he says, "Billy, you got it." And he put me on the opening match of the TV tapings with the Bushwhackers, and then I got my butt out of there. Well, the next night, true to my professional attitude and love for the business, I didn't miss a show. I was booked in Long Beach the next night for WWF. And I went to the arena, and Jimmy Snuka comes up to me, and he goes, "Brother, what'd you have? What'd you have?" And I said, "Jimmy, I had a boy, man. I had a boy." And he goes, "Brother, that's so great." And he shakes my hand. I look at my hand. He was a $50 bill in my hand. And that's the kind of guy these guys were, Jimmy Snuka. I'll never, ever, 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 ever forget it. That kind of stuff.
He gave you a $50 bill.
$50 bill. He says, "Brother, tell him this is from the Superfly." And that's the kind of guys these guys were. And I remember that day, John Tenta, Earthquake, coming up to me and congratulating me for my birth of my son. These are the kind of guys we had back in those days. There was some really, really great talent, and I was so saddened by John Tenta passing away of cancer. And we lost a lot of great guys, and I miss them. And that was the premise of writing my second book, Big Bill Anderson Remembers His Fallen Friends of Wrestling. It was to pay tribute to guys like John Tolis, who was my idol and my friend, and Freddie Blassie and the Sheik, the original Sheik, and Big John Studd, who I got to know at Wrestle. And so many of these guys, George Crybaby Cannon and the original Kangaroo, well, not the original Kangaroos, but Don Kent and Al Costello, original Kangaroo. Those kind of guys, I wanted them in this book, my first book, to pay tribute to fallen guys that have left us. Many very young, many were old, but some left prematurely. Randy Savage, and a lot of guys like that. And I needed that as a release and to pay tribute to my friends, who I've always worshipped and idolized and respected. And I'm working on another book right now.
Great.
A little slow in working on it, but it's a third book. My third book, it's called Big Bill Anderson Remembers His Fallen Friends of Mexico. And it's a real good tribute book. I think it's going to be my finest book. A lot of great talent out of Mexico that I came to know and spend time with in rings in Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Los Angeles, the Hispanic shows. And a lot of great talent. Eddie Guerrero is going to be in the book. I wrestled that guy so many times. The Great Goliath is in the book. They're kind of the American Mexican type wrestlers that are in the book. A lot of the others are more masked wrestlers from Mexico, but they're very big names. And a lot of photos and a lot of bio and a lot of personal stories are going to be in the book. And I'm putting my heart and soul into that. I spent a lot of time wrestling in Mexico through the years and made a lot of great friends. And I tell a lot of stories of being on the road with some of these guys, with Atlantis and the greatest trainer ever in the world, a guy named El Diablo Velasco. He was the guy that trained Mil Mascaras and trained Gory Guerrero and trained Fishman and all these legendary Mexican wrestlers. This is the kingfish of them all that trained them all. And Atlantis took me to meet his trainer at a Arena Mexico or Arena Coliseo in Guadalajara. And I tell this whole story about this in writing about Diablo, meeting this man, training 50, 60 wrestlers in this huge arena. And that's the kind of stories that are in there, and a lot of personal stories of Eddie Guerrero. And I was at Eddie's funeral here in Phoenix back in 2005, and superstar Billy Graham officiated over it. And I was there at the longest funeral I've ever been to. I got there at 10 in the morning, left the cemetery at 8 at night. And it was just the longest day. I don't think anybody, we all lost weight from shedding tears through the whole day. None of us stopped crying the whole day. It was a very emotional, one of the most emotional days I've ever spent in my lifetime. And so, I talk about a lot of that in this new book that I'm working on. I'm hoping to get it released by the end of this year. I'm slow in writing sometimes. I'm like an artist. It's like a mad artist sometimes where I can only do things when I'm motivated and the passion is there. And I can't make myself do something. I have to do it when I feel it. And I get distracted a little bit every now and then when we go through the week we just went through with some deaths. We lost Cowboy Bob Kelly, great Southern wrestler, great part of the CAC. We lost that man, one of the most finest, most decent human beings ever. And we lost him. We lost Dr. Ken Ramey, a great manager of the business for the 70s and managing the interns. And we lost him, and we lost we lost him and Big Ox, and then I had a very good friend in California that was underwent heart surgery, open heart surgery, a wrestler, Mongo Sandino, and he's healing up. Thank God, he's healing up. But I shed a hell of a lot of tears over him last Tuesday night when he was in surgery. I was so worried about him, and it scared me that I was going to lose another friend, and we were going to lose another brother in our business. So when things like this happen, I get very distracted in trying to write, and I can't put myself to do it.
Right, and real quick, well, I know we were running very, very short on time. We're glad that your friend is doing better. We want to thank you for being on our show. We're running on about 30 seconds left. But Bill, thank you very much. We're going to contact you right after the show get off the air to go over a couple of things real quick. But Bill, thank you much for taking time with your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
For calling in,
My
Bill.
pleasure.
Thank you
guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to plug the book and the Facebook page and all that for Bill.
Cool. So. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
No problem.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, right, that was the great Big Bill Anderson. We got about 40 seconds left. NSC Game Boy.
Thank everybody for calling in. Thank everybody for listening. Tune in next week. Thank Toph, Shinbleed, Tech, and everybody from Rage Pro Wrestling, man. We're going to keep giving it to you.
Yes, he will. Big ups to Alvin Ginsberg. Thank you much to Sensational One Shinblade for calling in. Being a great videographer. Thank everybody for listening in. Real quick, we do apologize. Because of the weather and because of a little issue with the Blog Talk server, because of the weather, we couldn't bring Rob Long. But we will bring Rob Long back. I just sent him a text. So 10 seconds left. Thank you very much, everybody calling in. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Toph. Everybody calling in. Thank you, Big Bill Anderson. We will be back next week with, I believe, the
Check out the video.
And we will have some other great guests, J.J. Dillon, Bass Rutten, and the UFC legend, and more. Any questions, hit us up on Facebook under the Matt Radio, @NAC_UTMR, and @NAC Game Boy, spell it correctly on Twitter, and hit up Shinblade on Facebook. Love y'all much. We will talk to you next week. Pro Wrestling Powerhouse. I will talk to you this Sunday right at the Hell in the Cell on Heartbeat Radio, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. For all that said, NAC Game Boy.
And the crowd say amen.
Yes.
Amen.
See everybody.
Be easy.